Recorded live from a secret location in southwestern Virginia in front of an audience of nearly no one. This is The H-Files. The other day I was at a book signing, and all of a sudden a complete stranger sprints up to me. He gets right in my personal space, and he yells at me in his excitement. He goes, "You wrote a book, didn't you? What's it all about?" And I said, "Well, have you ever heard of the X-Files?" He goes, "Yeah, I love that show." I said, "Well, it's nothing like that whatsoever." You'd be surprised at how quickly he looked like he was going to burst into tears. And then he just ran away. I don't know what that was about. Welcome to the H-Files. My name is Ben Hanneman. That's where we get the H from. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering how to spell my name, the Q is silent. Just keep that in mind. The Q is silent in my last name.
There is no Q.
Well, that's why it's silent. The H-Files is a look at the world through my colored glasses. Come to think of it, I probably shouldn't use the word colored in this charged up climate that we're living in. So better said, the H-Files is a look at the world through my glasses. I do wear glasses, in case you're wondering. I know you are, both of you that are listening. If this is your first time tuning into the show, welcome. It's actually my first time tuning in as well. In fact, it's my first time doing a show like this. So please be gentle. And please, I want to caution you, I want to encourage you, please don't judge this show on just one episode. Come to think of it, to be honest with you, this episode will probably be the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. In fact, listening to grass growing might be better than this first episode. But, truth be told, you got to give this show about 4 or 5 or 6 episodes or so. You owe that to yourself. You really do. Just like you don't judge people on just one meeting, and you can't judge a show like this on just one listen. You got to give it a half a dozen or so. Then after 5 or 6 episodes, you can flush it if you want to. I'm pretty sure that by then you'll be hooked or asleep. I'll let you discover which one. So on this inaugural edition, the right out of the box edition of the H-Files, let's talk books, ironically enough. I wasn't lying to that stranger that I talked about earlier. I am in the process of putting a book together. I just can't figure out what to call it. You've read a good book when you read the last page and you get down to the very last word, and then you put it down and you close the cover, and all of a sudden you feel like you've just lost a best friend who's been staying at your house for a while. Now, some friends you want to leave after like 3 days. What's that saying? Friends and milk go bad in 3 days. Maybe that's relatives. I can't remember. But no, you get down to that last page and the last word in the book, and you close it and you go, "Wow, that was pretty cool." Seriously, reading can be a really emotional investment, especially if the book is well written. And because it's a really emotional investment, that's probably why a lot of guys don't do a lot of reading, except for maybe owner's manuals and stuff with pictures in it. I don't know. I know that was a major generalization, but hey, that doesn't make it any less true. But when you spend hours and hours and days and however long it takes you to read a book, it's an emotional investment. And if the book is worth its weight in paper and ink, we get attached to whatever we're reading, and we get invested in the characters, the protagonist and the antagonist and the storyline and the plot development. My English teacher would be proud right now. All right, but most dime store novels that are out there, maybe they're not dime store novels anymore. Maybe they're dollar store novels. But the dollar store novels aren't like that. They're not the emotional investment. They're not the long-term investment or relationship that classic literature is. Those books that brain candy. They're more of the literary versions of the one night stand. I read a book recently called A Walk in the Woods, by a British author named Bill Bryson. Maybe you've heard of him. But he wrote a book called A Walk in the Woods, and it's not in the same vein in terms of literary masterpieces as that other well-known British author, William Shakespeare. But I got to be honest with you. I laughed more reading Bill Bryson's book than I ever did reading about that guy Pip. But Bryson's book, and I'm looking forward to reading more of his stuff because it's pretty funny. Bryson's book, A Walk in the Woods, is a fascinating account of a trek that he took with his longtime friend Stephen Katz. And they walked along the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail is about 2,100 miles long. Okay, and Bill Bryson and Stephen Katz, admittedly, they didn't walk the whole thing, but they walked a majority of it. Right? Sorry if that's a spoiler for you if you're getting ready to read the book, but Bryson's dry wit and his clever turn of phrase is interspersed in this book with, you like that word, interspersed? It's mixed up with a bunch of amazing facts about the Appalachian Trail. I guess they call it the AT now, right? But that combination turns what could easily be a yawner of a book into a pretty quick page turner, at least for me. I flew through the book in about 3 days, and at times my wife looked at me even more strangely than she already does, because I was laughing so hard that at times that I couldn't even breathe. I had tears coming down my face for good reasons. But other times in the book, I felt really sorry for Bryson and Katz as they walked over some pretty difficult parts of the trail, because the trail has some pretty impassable terrain, and all along the way they got into some pretty petty arguments that I'm sure experiences like that bring out in a lot of people. The journey was pretty arduous. You like that word, arduous? They call me the professor because I come up with all these words. But the AT passes through 14 states. I don't want to get all like bogged down in trivia and stuff here, but it passes through 14 states from Springer Mountain in northern Georgia all the way up to Mount Katahdin in central Maine. I probably butchered the name of that mountain, but up in central Maine. And the trail, which has been written about a lot, it's maintained by 30 trail clubs. And all those trail clubs are under the watchful eye and the watchful budget and probably strict budget of the National Park Service and also the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Back in the 1700s, there was a botanist named John Lyon, and he was one of several people who would pull saplings along from different hills along the way. But Lyon didn't know that one of the saplings he pulled out was not so good. It was poison sumac, which, according to one website, left Mr. Lyon with in almost one continuous blister all over his body. Not a good day in the park. The descriptions of the bear attacks Bryson includes in his book, if they don't have you literally on the floor kicking up your feet, you know how people do when they're laughing so hard they can't even breathe. Then if you're not doing that, then you don't even have a pulse. Okay. One of my favorite lines from the book involves advice that Bryson gives when encountering bears, grizzly bears specifically. I'm not going to try to do the British accent. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. But he says, "Take it from me. If you are in an open space with no weapons and a grizzly comes for you, run. You may as well. If nothing else, it will give you something to do with the last 7 seconds of your life." when I first read that, I seriously could not breathe. I was laughing so hard. So anyway, that will wrap up this episode. The big clock on the wall says I am out of time. So join us next time when I once again take a peek inside the H-Files. And until then, feet shoulder width apart, and keep that Pepto bottle within reach. And we're clear. Hey guys, what does that last part even mean?